Hey, it's Lauren. Check out some more Catan stuff. Here's a nice big Plano box with just a few of my environment related and sustainability related items. Here we have an expansion upon something I got from TableTop Monthly, which was sort of based on some originals by Klaus Tuber and all the original Catan crew. Firestorm could also be called Wildfire. So compatible with Catan and other hex-based games, you have little tiny fires. I kind of wanted to not get confused about which buildings and roads are affected, so I'm using little fire next to the structure and a big fire in the middle of the hex for this hex is on fire. And then I have little tiny ones as advantage tokens. This is a healing point, not VPs, but the healing points for benevolent action within the system. It's kind of awesome. All right, we have water protector points. A bunch of different things I'm making, including some existing Catan and Catan compatible add-ons. Let me just see if I can film this better. Have a water conservation feature. Sorry, it's shaky. Hang on. My hands shake a lot. Anyway, it says +1 heart. If you're good at conserving water, maybe using rain barrels, terracing, half moons in the it's called the Sahel, south of the Sahara, where they're making a great green wall across Africa. It's so freaking cool. Or other sustainable agriculture techniques, you are preserving water and conserving it. If you use gray water in your city raised bed gardens, that's coming up soon. All these other things that are great in real life, but also part of my Catan world involve that. These are some chits and chips and tokens I made to go with the official Catan global warming kit. So each of these little numbers for a hex has a number, and then after a while the land is depleted so much you get demoted. So 2 is the lowest probability, you go to dead. We have greenhouse gas, cloud of grossness. We've got a green city token, which this goes slides under a city. I made it sparkly and beautiful, kind of like the Emerald City. Green city. But I find it tricky to do this motion. Let me use this as a table. Well, here, I'll use this as a table and put a little city on top of it. I actually ended up painting green cities and eco cities because if I'm moving things up and down, I have dexterity issues that make it really tricky. The reason I started making tokens for this in the first place, not just as an upgrade, was because I couldn't manipulate the little pieces of paper. I know it's a print and play, but still. I've got eco cities and eco metropolises with solar panels on top. They're so freaking cool. And some detail on the ivy. We have a Captain Planet reference. We have eco points. We got all sorts of good stuff in here. So good stuff. Such good stuff. I'm excited. Can't wait to show you everything. Now it's just a quick tour. I've got Zombie Apocalypse, which is sort of based on a fan-made one called Zombie Attack, but I really expanded it. I made it so this can work in a Cities and Nights context, seafarers, dragon-related, all my homemade stuff, the TTM stuff. TTM is Tabletop Monthly. Anyway, it's amazing. So if you are the Master Zombie Slayer, you get 2 extra VPs, just a Zombie Slayer there, have some different ways to mark out the cordon sanitaire and what we're doing here. We have caution and disaster tokens. If we do the reanimation variation, the first player who's dead gets reanimated as the zombie lord and helps make decisions on behalf of the zombies. Everybody else is just undead, straight up. It's amazing. But basically, you get to be benevolent and invest in a female subsidized response. Instead of a settlement, you can purchase an ambulance and contribute it to the overall effort to fight back the disease. If you're the best at fighting all that stuff, fighting back the zombie horde and planning a good response, you're the incident commander. Otherwise, you could be the top donor. We have a metropolis based on it. This becomes a CDC, one of the Centers for Disease Control. Once you create one, you expand to another hex headquarters kind of place for your interventions. It's amazing. I can't wait. Research Hospital is kind of like the equivalent of a Catan city. So kind of like how I painted the eco version of city and metropolis. There's ambulance, research hospital, and CDC. So that all goes together. Here's an official Catan thing, oil springs. But again, it's basically print and play or like chipboard and play, which doesn't work that well for me. Also, if you're playing with multiple Metropolis related things, you kind of need to know which ones are oil based. So I made it gross with like dripping oil. Ew. You have an advantage token if you're trading at a 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio, depending on how you play. And then this is the most important aid for me. The little tiny slips of paper are a barrel of oil or barrel of oil with an X. So if you choose to sequester it, saving that oil for like future pharmaceutical use or just not using it, not burning it, it's sequestered. And the more you sequester, the better. Well, I have each of these oil barrels and people can flip it one way or the other. And it's just big enough for me to do where I can like place it, pick it up, flip it. Dexterity wise, that's about all I can handle. It's about as small as I can go while still being useful, but it's small enough it can stay on the board next to a settlement, city, or metropolis. So all this stuff is for the oil springs. I also made a really great cheat sheet like this with some of the rules, and I think I'll go on the back as well. So max you can have is 4 barrels at any time. If you sequester 3 of them, you get a VP. You can upgrade to Oil Metropolis, which is flood proof. 1 barrel is kind of like a 1-to-2 ratio. You could also just write it 2-to-1, whatever. You can get 2 of the same resource. I use them as a commodity in other expansions that I do as well, like especially if you're doing it with Amethyst Caverns or the Dragon scenarios. So you could call this a 2-to-1, and then in other situations there's a 3-to-1 as well. In places where it's super plentiful, you could make a game where it's like 3 oil to 1 resource, but really I should probably have written this like 1-to-3 or whatever, but whatever. I explain it very clearly in the rules for each of the different games I'm creating. So ew, oil springs, yay! And then a bajillion zombies with their little dead faces. Takes a lot of zombies to take over a Catan board, especially if you're like me and have like massive boards. This one, I accidentally painted the face on both sides. I think I'm just going to keep it that way. So if you order, just let me know if you're okay with getting some with double-sided heads. I guess their heads are Picasso'd enough if they're zombies. Who knows? These are some of the pieces for eco-related and sustainability-related Catan compatible stuff. I am so excited. There's so much more than what you're seeing here, and I cannot wait till the first time somebody gets some of this stuff from me. I'm so pumped. By the way, flood tokens, I want to just show. Remember how the Oil Metropolis is flood proof? So flood has often been something like the Atlantis related scenario that, you know, Catan fans have done. TableTop Monthly put out a little kit with like a brief rules card and then little flood tokens. I wrote the word flood on them, and then on the back I put an X. In the way TableTop Monthly wrote it, and I think this was like the right choice. I think basically everything they do is magic. Give them your money. They're amazing. Let's say this is a hex. You put like 4, and then the 5th one, that hex is like unusable. So I just made it so each one has an X on the back, and so visually I have a lot of sensory processing issues. I'm autistic with ADHD and other disability stuff, so like, oh, it's flooding and it's full. Being able to quickly see, oh, there's an X on that hex, cool, it's done, works for me. I also have little round just like flood tokens from another set, but that works really well. And so of course you could use that with the oil springs. All this stuff is cross compatible, which makes me very happy. The Catan related world is amazing. Can't wait to show you more. Bye.